8 p.m. Eastern on the Sire Studios Digital Network. That is SireDigital.com, blogtalkradio.com/Sire Studios, radiopublic.com, youtube.com, facebook.com, twitch.tv/Secrets of the Sire, and of course, secretsofthesire.com. Tonight, Spider-Man Far From Home, Stranger Things. We preview both blockbusters coming to your summer screens. The Walking Dead shocker no one saw coming. And we welcome creator and founder of DiversityCon, Ramon Gil. I am your host, Michael Dolce. And as always, I am joined by the Lord of the Radio, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
It's still hot out.
Is it?
It's, you know what? And I saw on an almanac, like a farmer's almanac, that this weather is probably going to continue all the way up to like maybe October.
Yeah.
Isn't that odd? Summer? This thing they call summer?
It's been doing that for years, though.
Really?
It's been doing that for years. Yeah, October's always generally been a good.
I don't remember. Well, I don't remember the season of summer. I really don't. As far as I see it, it's winter all the way, all year long. With like snowfalls and
you would be happy.
Rainstorms and stuff. I would be thrilled.
Move to Alaska or some Canada.
No, there's wolves in Alaska, so no.
North Dakota. You need some sort of cold weather.
Minnesota, maybe. Minnesota. I'm thinking about Minnesota for my retirement.
Well, you braved the heat. You braved the heat last night, though.
Yeah, we did. Last night was nuclear. It wasn't. It was the nuclear on the scale, man. It was like, wow. It was muggy and humid, and then it had the nerve to have a torrential downpour in the middle of middle of the evening. And then we went in and we had dinner. Spoiler for how the evening ended.
Well, hang on. Let's give the audience a little more context. We went to.
Well, no. You're gonna. This has nothing to do with the evening.
Oh, okay.
This is just anecdotal.
I got it.
We went in for dinner, and when we came out, maybe about an hour, a solid hour and a half later, everything was dry. That's how hot it was out. Like it was almost like it never rained at all. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then you go ahead and talk about the.
I was going to say we went to Ramon Gil's graphic novel workshop, comic book workshop. We were the featured guests,
awesome.
Which was great. We're going to stream it out live. We'll stream the recorded version of that on Friday on the Sire Studios YouTube page, which is youtube.com/Secrets of the Sire. For now, we're going to do a little great launch pretty soon of a new name, but you can check it out on Friday. We're gonna stream that sucker out. It was great being a guest, and in turn, we're gonna have him on tonight. Now spoiler alert, we pre-recorded it last night because we only got so much time in the day. But he's on a little bit later. But the big news, I got to be honest with you, I'm debating whether to do Spin the Racks now because there's this Walking Dead news that came out today that is absolutely just.
Why is it so shocking, though? I don't understand why.
You will.
Why that would be shocking?
Because, for anybody who doesn't realize, Walking Dead issue 193 was the finale of the series. And I won't spoil anything. I actually spoiled the story for myself because I'm not caught up yet. In 192, there was a huge death. And it had people reeling, and it had people really excited for issue 200, which was being solicited. That's the beauty of what Robert Kirkman did. He actually solicited fake covers and fake synopses to Diamond, which is the distribution, and made it seem as if there's going to be a 194, a 195, 196, 197, 198, all the way leading up to 200. And as it turns out, issue 193 is the final issue of Walking Dead. So for a story that lived off of people being shocked by what was going to happen next, Robert Kirkman managed to do just that with the series finale. No one saw it coming. So
here's a question, though.
Yeah.
Did he plan to end it, or was there some kind of inside baseball, behind the scenes machination that made him decide, look, I'm shutting it down then?
No, they worked hand in hand with him. I told you they actually solicited things beyond that, and he literally did tell the final story without getting too shocking, without getting too spoilery as to what happens. If you know what kind of happened in the issue beforehand, you kind of realize, oh yeah, that was the ending, because everyone's kind of saying like, well, where are you going to go from here after issue 192? And it turns out 193 is simply an epilogue to what happened, and that's it. And he ended the story. We'll get into some quotes from him when we spin the racks. A lot to talk about when it comes to that. But the big news...
You ruined the spinning of the racks, so you did.
No, we didn't. Look, I teased it. People are going to want to talk about this, right? We teased it further.
Are you going to spoil the ending?
Yes.
Are you planning on... Okay.
No. Spider-Man Far From Home.
Should spoil the ending. We should do that.
Stranger Things 3. These are the two big things dropping. This has been... I mean, if you look at the scope of 2019, it just feels like bomb after bomb after bomb. And I don't mean this in a it bombed at the box office. I mean just like of things dropping. I mean, what a
was that a depiction of a bomb going off? Is that what you just
like? Okay. We had Captain Marvel, which was very highly anticipated. We had Shazam, which is also very highly anticipated. Glass kicked off the year. Avengers Endgame, I mean, was 10
twice
years in the making.
They tried to bring it back
They're bringing it back, right?
To try to nuke Avatar, and it actually didn't work.
No,
badly for them.
No.
So
Game of Thrones ended this year. I mean, we just had so much, and then you finally have the return of Stranger Things, season 3, and you have.
And even on the smaller level, you had the end of the Big Bang Theory.
My gosh, yeah.
Which is a long and even though you discredited the Deadwood movie, which was a 13-year delayed series finale.
Yeah.
Was kind of it's turned out to be kind of a big deal. A lot of people were thankfully very very receptive to it. Very positive about it. And then you've got Spider-Man at the start of
actually, I was going to say Kevin Feige considers it the end of the Infinity Saga. But even still, it's huge. Absolutely
not smart. Not that smart.
Well, we haven't seen
I just think, from a marketing standpoint, right? We talk marketing all the time and the necessities of marketing. It's better to claim that something is beginning than something is ending.
Yeah.
It's always, especially if, let's say, Spider-Man Far From Home joins $1 billion club. Becomes a big movie. You want to call the first movie of your next phase of a series of movies a raging success. Coming off of Endgame, because it's we talked about this in previous weeks.
Yeah.
The scuttlebutt is that they're never gonna be able to top Endgame. You're never gonna be able to build the hype. And you're never going to be able to do this to us again for 20 movies. Make us wait for another a big landfall 20 movies from now. So if you start off phase 4, my God, I must still be tired from last night. If you start off phase 4 with a barnstorm hit, it's a lot of positive press for your endeavors.
Right.
But I mean, I guess the same could be argued that if you end phase 3 with another $1 billion hit, that's another positive. And they're really talking about it making a crap ton of money.
It's not just that though, too. Supposedly there's an end credit scene in Far From Home that is supposed to be jaw-dropping. So I think what you are hinting at in terms of this beginning is actually in there. Like the seeds of the next Marvel universe saga is there. So I think there's something, kind of cool about that.
Fair enough.
My question to you, and I threw this out on Facebook as well, what are you looking forward to more out of both, right? You have Spider-Man Far From Home, Stranger Things 3. They both come out pretty much the same week, almost the same day. Gun to your head, what are you going to see and why? Like you can only watch one of the two. Which one are you watching?
I hope no one's holding a gun to my head.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh boy, I'd have to say Stranger Things 3 is something that I'm really, really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, it's kind of weird. The MCU is kind of like this thing, like, that's going to be great. I'm going to go see that, and I'm most likely going to enjoy it. I enjoyed Homecoming. Yeah, really did enjoy Homecoming. Not as much as Spider-Man 2, but nothing is really going to touch Spider-Man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed Homecoming. It was definitely a better installment than the two Amazing Spider-Man movies. So it felt like Spider-Man was on a good track, and he fit. They remodeled him really nicely, so that he fit into the MCU.
Right.
Which is, so the MCU's version of Spider-Man, I enjoy. So Far From Home, I am anticipating enjoying it and having a good time seeing the movie. Looking forward to that end credit scene that everyone's talking about. Going to be really great. However, Stranger Things, though, I have to add, there's a little trepidation about it because, you can always ruin these things.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate thing. Not so much that the show itself or the movie or whatever you're talking about kind of didn't meet with your expectations. You got that to deal with, but also you got the internet backlash to deal with, right? Where no matter where you turn on the internet, you can't hear anything but all the disappointing third season of Stranger Things, and then they repeat the narrative over and over again till you're just like, yeah, it sucked, it was terrible.
Yeah.
I never looked forward to that kind of wave of negativity. Yeah. But that's the cost of doing business, right? Yeah. I'm enthusiastic to see what they do with the third season of Stranger Things. I thoroughly enjoyed the first two seasons with very few caveats. I know people are upset about I think episode 7. Was it for Stranger Things last year?
Like 7 or 8, yeah.
7 or 8, with the deviation.
Let me tell you right now, actually, again, is one of those necessary disruptions because, quite frankly, Stranger Things is a one-trick pony when all is said and done, right? Like, if you look at that first season, and this actually kind of leads into why I'm actually looking forward to Spider-Man more than Stranger Things. Stranger Things, the whole concept of it is the 80s nostalgia mixed with a cool horror take, right? Like the kid, Will goes missing, goes into the upside down world, and it's really cool. And it's like, oh, this is really neat. It's not groundbreaking in any way, shape, or form. It's just a really good story. So when season 2 comes along, ironically enough, it's almost laying the groundworks for what an 80s sequel would be. It's like, we need to do another one. So we'll just kind of touch on what we did in the first movie, and kind of, regurgitate the same kind of things. And I feel like they did that, with the exception of episode, I guess, 7 or 8, when they diverged off and showed the other, people who were like Millie Bobby Brown's character, 11, and created a sort of like hip 80s Chris Claremont, John Byrne, X-Men universe that they can now kind of, which maybe they will, maybe they won't, but they can now kind of explore. They opened it up a little bit. Mind you, it was done in such a way that was very disruptive, from a viewer standpoint, but at least they did it, they got it over with, and now anything that comes after this, it's like, and I'll use my music analogy, Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam was always saying, we're allowed to explore whatever music territory we want to, because there were a couple songs on 10 where we did just that. So when you first met us and first listened to us, as much as you had the hard rocking songs, you had songs like Black, you had songs like Oceans, you had songs like Release. And they felt like, well, we can do this now. Our next album, we can do a couple different things. We can, 3 albums from now, we can go in a different direction because it's not going to completely jar their audience. And in much the same way, I think Stranger Things kind of did that. They kind of took something, and as disruptive as it was as a viewer to have to sit through and go, what the F is this? I want to know what happens here. And now I have a whole episode I got to get through, blah, blah, blah. It's done. Might not have been handled the best way, but it's over with. And now you can sit there and say Stranger Things 3, okay, if they get into this other world, or they tell this new story, or they tell this new like corner of the universe, it's been established, and I think will work. But all that being said, the fact that this is the first Marvel movie post Endgame, and again, the buzz about the multiverse, the buzz about Disney and Fox kind of merging, and how is Spider-Man going to kind of lead into potentials for that. This is the first Marvel movie where we actually don't know what's going to come next. It is, and it's not a piece of a larger story. It feels kind of fresh. It feels kind of exciting to me. So I'm actually looking forward to Spider-Man more than Stranger Things 3.
All right. People have to learn that.
Way to grab that conversation and run with it. way to pass the baton to Hassan.
I was about to, but in my own typical subdued nature. People have to learn that you're not going to get, and I'm not talking about you. It's not a reflection on what you just said.
Right.
People have to realize that basically the thing that makes and I'm convinced of this, and no one's really going to be able to convince me otherwise. The thing that makes everything that we really like today palatable or extremely likable is the characters.
Yeah.
Because everybody's trying to dissect why Stranger Things hitting on so many levels that such and such didn't, and this didn't, and that didn't. Why is the MCU so much better than the DCEU? Mm-hmm. Why is or Fox's string of comic book movies? I said, if you look at all these other contenders, they always drop the ball on the character. They're always doing shortcuts on things so that they could get you could get the spectacle in there, you could get the explosions in there, you can get like one of my favorite examples of this is Age of Apocalypse, where they just they took Warren Worthington, they took the Angel,
right,
who got famously in the comic books turned into Archangel,
right,
during the Fall of the Mutants,
right,
because Warren Worthington lost his wings,
mm-hmm.
Very, very famously, very, very tragically.
Yes.
And then they rubbed him up against an electric fence, and that's why his wings got burned, and that's why he was able to, in the movie. I mean, they literally shortcut 5 or 6 years of storytelling just to get Archangel in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a waste of a character. That's a waste of something. You wanted the end result. You wanted the spectacle of what he became in the end. And you wanted to, in order to get him there at that time, at that place, you were fine with stepping over tons of content, potential content, drama, character to get us there. And the MCU has never taken a shortcut on this. They've always emphasized on character. So so Far From Home. Also, the Peter Parker's, just the fact that two movies in, not even 2 full Spider-Man movies, but just from Civil War, just judging by Civil War and Far From Home. No, excuse me, Homecoming.
Right.
The 2 homes are going to be tough. That's going to be tough to differentiate them. But the Homecoming, the fact that Aunt May is a young woman, the fact that her relationship, they've changed the relationship between Aunt May and Peter.
Uh-huh.
And and that's the potential that Aunt May is dating is going to actually cause some turmoil. That's a lot of character stuff that they threw in very quickly.
Yeah.
But it's potential. It's got potential legs to it. It's very strong. It can be drawn out. That's good groundworking.
Yeah.
So the character is very strong, and that's why his Spider-Man is going to be is well received and very strong. Same with the Tobey Maguire version of Spider-Man, where they emphasize character, almost in some cases over plot.
Isn't that kind of funny? It's funny that you're actually saying that, though, because now it brings me back to Endgame a little bit, and I feel like, spoilers if you haven't seen Endgame by now, introducing the time travel and the multiverse and the divergent timelines as quickly as they did goes against what you actually say, which might be one of the reasons why I'm not really looking back. Endgame, the more and more I think about it, the less and less I like it. And I was happy with many moments in it. It's a well-made film. But I remember walking out of there being like, all right, I was a little disappointed, but good film. And the more and more I think about it, I'm like, no, because maybe that's the first movie where they actually did kind of, take a shortcut. They kind of had the groundwork of Ant-Man, which they did, they with the quantum verse and things like that. But they did kind of take a shortcut.
No, the MCU takes a lot of narrative shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
My point is that they never take any character shortcuts. They never underdevelop a character.
That's true.
Sometimes a character is underused, but they never made a huge promise of that character in the first place. Like, you can argue that Peggy Carter was kind of underused, as a main point, as a main staple especially in Captain America's story. But they never promised us a Peggy, and then we did get a Peggy Carter TV show, but that was cut short. Right. But they never really promised us in the movies a strong Peggy Carter presence. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she was shortcutted, but they didn't. It's not like they tried to develop the character and just decided against it and dropped it. She's just there as a fixture of like kind of a specter in to haunt the Captain, the contemporary Captain America, that got lost, and then they went full circle and wrapped that story up in and of itself. But what I'm talking about in general is just characters, not narrative. I think the MCU makes a lot of narrative. I won't call them mistakes because who am I to judge whether they're mistakes or not? But they do take a lot of narrative shortcuts, and definitely the time travel and the way they just kind of threw away the standard Hollywood parameters of what time travel entails is both cute, interesting, and a shortcut at the same time. It was actually kind of a phenomenon. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying. Yeah. But I'm just talking about mainly characters.
No, I get it. I get the difference. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Looking up reviews for both Spider-Man and Stranger Things, it looks like we're not going to be disappointed. Mostly, Spider-Man Far From Home is from Entertainment Weekly. Spider-Man Far From Home reviews largely praise Tom Holland's next film. Not Owen Gleiberman, directed by John Watts. EW's Darren Franich praises Jake Gyllenhaal's clever, careful performance as Mysterio. He also says that Tom Holland's next solo outing solidifies him as the new and improved heart of the MCU. Variety's Owen Gleiberman calls Far From Home closer in spirit to the good Tobey Maguire movies, carved out a space for Spider-Man that feels uniquely breezy and charming while still fitting the larger structure of the Marvel movies. To be fair, though, not everyone came out of there singing praises. IndieWire's David Ehrlich called it a cute but painfully unadventurous bit of superhero housekeeping. How the film smirks and winks as if it's in on the fatigue, offering an illusion of cool when at heart it says slavishly on message as everything else.
Oh, boy. That's not even a review.
There's also a bad one from
saying it's another superhero movie, and it does superhero stuff in the superhero movie. What did you go to a superhero movie to see?
Right.
You went to a superhero movie to see Terms of Endearment. I get that it didn't do anything for him.
Yeah.
But to call the superhero movie bland because it's another superhero movie is kind of missing the point, I think.
Matt Singer from Screen Crush, their smart solution was to tell a classic story in the lead Ditko mold. It sets the stage perfectly with a shocking cliffhanger for whatever Marvel has in store for us next.
Spoilery.
Stranger Things 3, reviews are out. Best season by leaps and bounds. This is from CNET. Get ready for new characters, 1980s flash and fads, and more gore than usual when the hit returns July 4th. So that'll be tomorrow. It's what fans wanted to hear. CNET's own Jennifer Bissett calls Season 3 a brilliant return to form, adding that it brings the focus back to the elements that made the first season such an unexpected hit. The season's sense of fun, along with its relationship drama and multiple odd pair-ups, bring humor and touching moments that recall Game of Thrones at its best.
Are they saying it brings it back because of it's been gone for a year, or it brings it back because Season 2 didn't have any of these qualities?
Yeah, I think Season 2 really, I think the general consensus is that while it wasn't a bad season by any stretch of the imagination, it really felt like a continuation of Season 1, but not in all the ways that were as effective. MTV News culture director Crystal Bell tweeted, "I think I can finally tell you that Stranger Things is the show's best season yet." AV Club calls the show the best season by leaps and bounds. There were a few bad reviews, though. Comicbook.com says the 1980s references are just too much. It's entertaining to see beloved characters.
It took place in the frickin' 80s.
Well, look, there is pandering. And we can talk pandering because it's not as controversial when we're talking about 80s, pandering to people who are 80s fans versus like race or gender or whatever the case is, which can lead us into a downward spiral of controversy.
Because the notion of pandering in and of itself is ridiculous.
No, it's not. It's not.
It is.
The notion of pandering is not ridiculous. I think anytime you see something that's pamphlet material on screen, be it gender, race, or in this case, the love of the 80s and how.
Well, okay. Let me
I think you can. I think there's as
I'll
you
clear
can.
it up. It takes place in the 80s. So it can't be pandering when it makes 80s references.
Well, according to this,
It's like the same as Black Panther. If it's an all-black story about an African country, it's not pandering the race to make certain references to these things.
No.
Unless you say the thing in and of itself is if you call it pandering, then Stranger Things in and of itself is pandering.
No, see, and I think there's a huge difference. I think you're wrong on that sense because I never got a sense from Black Panther that it was pandering.
Yeah, but I've heard a lot of criticism.
Well, they're wrong. They're totally wrong because it's a story. It's just a solid story that takes.
That's kind of how I feel.
Against the backdrop of a very Afrocentric cast and setting.
Like a story that takes place in the backdrop of a 1980s setting.
But
in the 80s.
In this particular case, the review from comicbook.com says it's entertaining to see beloved characters embracing the spirit of goofy 80s films, but these homages feel so blatant that it feels more like a parody than a tribute. There is something where, again, anything that takes you out of the story itself to where all of a sudden it becomes a meta thing, and it's not Deadpool who his whole character breaks the fourth wall, et cetera, that is what pandering. That's where pandering, I think, comes into play. I think in this particular case, and again, I haven't seen Stranger Things, so I don't know. But if they go over the top to where it's a wink and a nod to all these things, and you're like, oh my God, yes, I get it. Yes, I get it.
When did all these things become like a bad thing? When did pandering become like? I
think there's a balance, though. I think there's a balance of.
I mean, yeah, but who's to say what the balance is? That's the problem. This is the main problem when you have people instead of just giving it this is another.
I think when you can
get up on it, but I mean, you got people making reviews, making blanket statements about the whole thing instead of just giving their impressions of it, right?
Yeah.
If they themselves like, well, some of these things I felt like it was, being pandered to. If you call it, like, if you say it tilts dangerously towards pandering or whatever, like, what kind of comment is that? Dangerously what? Why is that a danger? It's the 80s. It's art. It's subjective.
Yeah.
Right. If it was a 90s show or a contemporary show that that had an 80s feel, right? And then one of the main characteristics of the show was that it felt like an 80s show, so the producers and the directors and everybody said, all right, well, let's just play that angle, right? Then I can understand that, okay, now they're pandering, now they understand that we've appreciated the 80s vibe that this contemporary show has.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though. You can have.
But I mean, if it takes place, like, it's like saying that like Midway or that Pearl Harbor was pandering to 1940s enthusiasts. It's the 40s. It's a period piece.
No, I think you're missing it. I think what you hit it before when you said there's a vibe. I think there's a difference between being taken back to a time that you may have grown up to.
But who's to make that claim that something goes too far? In the reflection of
I think you said it. It's a vibe, though. It's a vibe. You either look at the end of the day. People were.
I understand that the person who made the comment felt like but I don't appreciate. Well, I don't.
You don't like it when people use the argument that a mass amount of people feel a certain way so that it's the right or wrong answer, which I can understand since there really is no right or wrong because it's subjective. But if a mass amount of people,
that's the point I always keep up.
But if a mass amount,
but we don't even know the percentage of the people who feel a certain way about anything.
No, we don't. Right now, I would actually say that without having seen this, considering that's the only review I've read of Stranger Things 3 that has that particular comment, he's in the minority of people that feel that way. So I'm not going to go into it expecting to feel that way.
Okay,
hold on. Boy, I really do feel that way, then I'll agree with him.
Hang on then 1 second, though. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Can you appreciate the absurdity just in the sound of a criticism that says a story
I like your criticism.
Yeah, okay. A story that takes place in the 80s is pandering to the 80s. Can you appreciate the nonsensicalness of
Right, but that's not what the criticism is, though. I think you keep just going back to that. I think he says that at this, the homages feel so blatant that it feels more parody than a tribute, and I think there is merit to that in any form of art. You know what I mean? Like, I think in any form of art, you can sit there and say, this is too over the top. Look, the scene in Avengers Endgame where all the female heroes got together, is an example of, boy, that was really over the top and unnecessary, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion.
People's opinion.
There can be.
Just to back up my point of view, many other people share this point of view also, which strengthens my position and validates.
Though, of course it does.
It doesn't. Not really.
Of course it does. Anytime.
If your opinion has if your opinion has merit as your opinion, then the conviction of you having that opinion should withstand whether or not 1,000 people agree with you or no one agrees with you.
But you can sit there and dismiss.
It's not a valid point of succession. It really isn't.
I think there's always validity to it if it is a mutual response experienced across a large.
Hundreds and thousands of people loved it. So I mean,
agreed. Yes.
So who wins or loses that?
On my show, I always win. All right. When we come back, we go we go back in time. That was my back in time. See, we've got what sound effects we've had on today's show. We got the bomb. We have that's time travel. We go back in time to last night where Ramon Gil graciously hosted us, but we get to learn and hear about DiversityCon. We get to hear about Men of DARPA. We get to hear of Sci-Fi's, all the cool things that Ramon Gil is doing when we come back. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Dolce, creator of The Sire from Mike Books. The Sire is about a superhero forced by his own costume to fight evil. It's like having a spider sense, but instead of warning him of danger, it actually puts him in danger. It was first launched back in 2006 through After Hours Press and was met with tremendous success. 6 issues and a trade paperback later, I thought The Sire's journey had reached a good stopping point. But a funny thing happened. As I continued working in comics, writing for Zenescope and co-creating Descendant for Image Comics, fans would meet me at conventions and continually ask when the next issue was coming out. Apparently, The Sire was far from done. And that's why I'm proud to welcome you to this Kickstarter, celebrating the Volume 2 trade paperback for The Sire. Collecting issues 7 through 10 and featuring an amazing cover by Jim Calafiore of Aquaman fame, the trade is an exciting way for readers, both new and old, to get into the character. And this trade doesn't just collect old material. It's jam-packed with almost 15 pages of new material, including a brand new prologue featuring the return of fan-favorite artist Daniel Leister. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. I am sitting here in a different room all of a sudden, right? I mean, the first segment was completely different. Yeah. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. I blinked and now we're here.
We transported back in time to Tuesday night where Ramon Gil, creator of Sci-Fi's, and a whole bunch of other stuff, including Diversity comiccon, which I want to really talk about as well too, because I'm really excited about that. Invited Hassan and I on as his featured guest for his comic book creator and graphic novel meetup, which we were honored and humbled. So thank you, sir. It was awesome, an awesome experience. And now it's your turn, sir.
Okay.
Talk to us about your career. Give us a rundown of.
Sure. Typical comic book kid, wanted to do comic books, and then in 1992 I broke in with Vortex Comics from Canada.
Okay.
And doing NASCAR autobiographies. I learned more about NASCAR that year than I ever did. And I decided I'd move to New York City to be closer to to the industry.
Marvel DC.
Yeah, Marvel DC. Jim Sure looked at my portfolio back in San Diego back in '93. He said, come up to Defiant offices when you get here.
Oh, Defiant
So,
Comics.
Wow.
I went up to Defiant offices. I also went up to Valiant offices. And then the very next week is when the whole industry collapsed.
So this is you who did it.
Yeah.
By then I had done 2 issues for Vortex, which never saw print, unfortunately. But I knew already that I hated drawing comics by myself at home, spending 16 hours a day, you know, just slaving away on the pages. And being new in New York, I had no social life. I was depressed. So when the industry tanked, I went into advertising, and I stayed in advertising until about 2014, when a good friend of mine, Amy Chu, switched from being a business consultant to writing comic books.
Wow.
So
It's an easy transition.
Yes, exactly. So I said, hey Amy, can I take you out to lunch and pick your brain? And she said, sure. So she had me take her to the most expensive Korean restaurant in New York City. And it was worth it because I got a lot of info, and she told me do small projects, do anthologies, self-publish, all that stuff. And that's what I started doing and slowly. And what I also realized was that I hate BarCon. I don't drink, so I don't like the bar scene after the cons. And Amy told me to do panels and to network, and so putting on the speaker series was my way of networking with industry people.
Absolutely brilliant, and it's something that we talked about in our seminar. It's creating a platform for yourself as a professional. And what you do is fantastic. So
since then, I'm exactly like you, created a lot of contacts, had a lot of opportunities from those contacts.
Sure.
And but what's ironic is that I'm finding that I think I enjoy the organizing the events as much, if not more, than actually creating the comics. But I haven't quite decided yet.
Well, it's funny you mention that too, because obviously we're comic book creators at the core, but we did the podcast to help us reconnect with everyone in the industry, and it's a great way to do it. And now the podcast is kind of taking a life of its own, and it's like we kind of enjoy. I mean, it's a full-time job for us now, and it's exciting in that sense. So talk to us about your creations. You're the creator of Sci-Fi's.
Sci-Fi's was the name of the original anthology series that I produced in 2014 through 2016, I think. We had about 4 issues, and then I brought it back last year with Sci-Fi's 2019. It was supposed to be 2018. We had some snags. And this time for that anthology, rather than me writing all the short stories, I had a bunch of other people writing, contributing art and stuff. I've also done Men from DARPA, which was 3 issues. I'm trying to...
That's the book I picked up at Hudson.
I'm trying to put together a 4th issue and make a trade out of it.
That's great.
And then I also did the hard code with Trevor Vaughan Eden.
Okay.
And we are working on the 3rd issue right now.
And who's that through?
And that, actually, I had some offers from some smaller publishers a while back. But they all said, it'll come out next year. Which to me was like, next year, I can come out with this in 6 months, and so maybe I shot myself in the foot, but once I have the 3rd issue and we can make it in a trade, I'll shop it around again.
Okay.
And then the last thing I did, which is only 1 issue right now, is Centuries, and I'm also finishing up something called The Professionals.
Okay. And what's the 30-second elevator pitch for The Professionals?
The Professionals is that New York City mayor orders his top cop to create a superhero. And so what he does is he calls on his old SEAL team, and they pretend to be one superhero.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that.
But the book is about the politics.
Okay.
Because
that's what hardcore comic fans
it's gonna be. Well,
I'm joking.
This is the mayor's office. The mob is involved. So it's a lot of double-crossing thing going on, and plus the psychological stress that would be involved in crime fighting at that level.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Which I don't think gets covered enough.
The crime fighting aspect of comics these days is almost an afterthought because of how much history in comics has come before.
Anymore.
Right.
Come to think of it. it.
Right.
Like it's almost like crime is like you said, it's an afterthought, but it's almost like crime is kind of it takes a back seat to the intricacies of like the interpersonal relationships between superheroes and all this. Like this weed-esque.
It's almost like the environment. So.
Well, I think comics have gotten very meta, right? I mean, I think people who are writing comics have been comic book readers, and so they know when they're writing something that could be considered a trope or something that's stereotypical or something, and then they kind of do their scripts around that. So it's great to actually get back into the crime fighting aspect, which is what you're talking about. I think that's actually really exciting. Talk to us about the meetups. You've had an amazing guest list too. Our former employer, Martha Donato, was actually here as well too, and talk to us about how this is kind of spun into something.
It's we're lucky in that we're in New York City, so it's easy to get really good guests, to come out. And I actually feel bad because there's a lot of more people that I'd love to invite on, but it's logistically or timing wise, I can't really do this more than once a month.
Yeah.
I'd love to do this once a week.
No, you don't. Trust me. You don't.
But I think the wife would go for that.
She would not.
So once a month it is. Well, what I've been trying to do now is we'll have a speaker once a month, and then in between we'll have other events like we'll go to an exhibit or we'll just have. I'm thinking of doing actually a shut up and draw night. Where we just get together.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Everybody just draws. Or writes.
So I just moderated a panel in Motor City Con. It was a sketch duel with Jeff Johnson and Scott. Oh, I'm going to get his name wrong. This guy who does Flash. It's not Koblish. I know I'm going to get it wrong. Good thing he doesn't listen to our podcast, so we're good.
Just edit it in.
I know, right? Oh yeah. That's in fact, it's good. And Jeff Johnson though hosts a drink and draw out in LA, and my friend Tony, who does a book at Action Lab now, basically got his in because of those drinking draws. So definitely do one. They're a lot of fun, and it's a great opportunity for other.
A couple about 2 years ago at New York City Comic-Con, Buddy Scalera actually picked me to be one of the guys to go up on stage with a bunch of other.
I think that I was there, so we were there.
But I didn't know. He's calling me wrong. My shot. I missed my shot.
Oh no, yes. Buddy does a lot of these things too.
Yeah.
He's really great at setting that up. Talk to us about Diversity Con. It's a Comic Con you're hosting in October as well in New York City.
Okay, so I teach the FIT, and a good friend of mine is Fabrice Sapolsky, who was the co-founder of Jewish Comic Con out in Brooklyn. And he was telling me, Ramon, you should totally do an Asian Comic Con.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it, and I was talking to Omar Mirza, who does the Zindan comic book, and he also did the Incapable Trump, which is a big hit at New York City Comic Con. But anyway, so we were talking about it, and then one of my mentor over at FIT said, go to this workshop, and you can get a grant for a diversity project. So I went and I saw I can make a diversity Comic Con here.
Wow, that's great.
Right? And so I submitted the grant, the application for the grant, and I was told that it's not going to get approved because there was a money-making component, and none of the grants are allowed to have money-making component.
Sure.
So I thought, okay, well, I messed up, and I'll try again next year. But I got an email from the president's office, or from the vice president of diversity. About that got approved. I'm going, why did it get approved? I thought it should be disqualified because there's profit involved. I didn't know why I got approved. Everybody told us going to school. I walked into his office.
I'll edit that part out too.
I walked into his office, and all over his office was Batman memorabilia. And he actually showed up in a Batman suit to Diversity Con.
Wow.
Now, because it's a you can't have a profit, I'm not making money off Diversity Comic Con, but I'm using it as a way to become the go-to person for comics on campus. So they would let me teach comic books, which they finally did.
That's great.
And also as a way for me to further build relationships in the industry.
That's great.
So that's why I was able to this year we have Ross Chast, who is the award-winning cartoonist for the New Yorker magazine.
Oh, okay, great.
We got a brave new, Wave Blue World.
Yep.
Tyler Chin is coming out. some people I would otherwise not connect with if it weren't for the fact that I'm able to put on a comic-con at a college here in the city.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. It sounds to me, and this is what I tend to find, and I think Hassan would agree, when you actually step out of the industry and then come back into it, you have a wealth of actual real-world knowledge. I feel like everyone who is in the comic book industry is in a bubble sometimes when it comes to the ways to connect with other people, to build relationships, to do these kind of things, and even indicative of the kind of people who are coming to your meetups are people who are looking to break in, and it's tough when you're in this bubble. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. Between leaving and coming back, I worked in advertising, and I even ran my own design company for 9 years. And so people are always surprised that I'm putting out 4 or 5 books a year, And when you have art directing and production experience, and project management experience, it's a lot easier.
You can breeze through
Yeah,
it.
it's like
Also, the
like,
technology. The strange thing
it makes
about
technology
leaving
too.
and coming back in, it makes you open to the new ways
Yeah.
of doing so many things
Yeah.
that
Right.
you didn't realize, like how far things had come.
Yeah.
And if you were just in the bubble, you might be continuing to do things your way, like the old way, and not know
Yeah.
that these.
Exactly.
I know people who don't even really use Photoshop or any of these other programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was resonating with me when we were talking about that networking group. Because
Yeah.
in business, when you own a company, you have to network.
Yeah.
It serves you well when you're in this industry because you're right, it's about...
My perspective now, I call this, my second coming or whatever you want to call it in the industry, because it is so different than the first. The first was, I'm just going to go out and storm the world with my creations, and everyone's just going to love what I do and know what I'm going to do, and then you come in and you're like, no, you had some things right, you were doing some things you didn't even know you were doing that were great, and you did a lot of things that are not going to get you where you need to go, and it's a perspective that you're not going to have unless you kind of pull yourself out and back in. All right, last question, your best Comic-Con and or comic book experience has been?
Oh wow, that's a good question. What's
I tried.
the best experience? Every Comic-Con offers like really interesting. I either learn something new or come out with a good contact or whatever. But I'll tell you that one of the more interesting ones was at SPX a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I got lucky enough to be chosen as one of the people who got to pitch to Nickelodeon that year at SPX.
Okay.
Now, I obviously did not get in, but it was a great learning experience. I'll tell you what happened. So I pitched them. They saw Men in Black. They said, "Okay, come pitch." So I went to the room, and there was a line of about 100 people, just to pitch. And so I went in, and I told them the concept about 4 nerdy scientists who work for the government who get involved in adventures in espionage, and they use their scientific wits to get out of it. So they're a bunch of geeks who are fish out of water, basically. And they said, "We love the idea, but," they said, "number 1, it has no kids in it. Number 2, it's got guns. And number 3, the jokes are for old people."
Oh.
So I said, well, I've actually been thinking about retooling it as the kids from DARPA, and then it would be, what do you guys think of that? Well, that's a great concept, but there's 100 other people outside whose concepts are ready to go.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
So I get it. So, okay, I understand. So if you want, after you've retooled it,
You bring it back.
you can try bringing it back.
Wow.
Good luck to you.
So
that was a good lesson.
Always have something on standby.
Always have something on standby. Think about that. Yeah. I should have had more than one pitch, right? Just figure it out today.
Well, Ramon, this has been a tremendous experience. Thank you again for having us.
Thank you for coming on.
And I'm really excited to have you on our show. Tell everyone out there where they can find you and where they can find your work.
They can actually just find me on RamonGil.com, but I'm going to announce it here for the first time. Me and some buddies are putting together a new company called Comics Forces.
Okay.
And what it is going to be a design and marketing company for the industry. And we're starting out, so no job is too small. So if you already have an idea, just have an idea, we'll do the rest. But if you already have the art, then we'll do the rest. No matter how far along you are in the creation process, we can help you, whether it's helping you with the Kickstarter, helping you with the marketing, or helping you with the production. You know, and a big part of it of our offerings will also be helping educate people,
Very cool.
and we're gonna I'm rolling this meetup into that, as well as Diversity Comic Con. And by the way, this meetup is now called the Comic Arts Workshop.
Comic Arts Workshop. All right.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you so much, Ramon Gil. When we come back, we go spinning the racks. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. Again, we want to thank Ramon. We are back. Woo! We just keep going, racing through time, past, present, future. It's amazing. I want to thank Ramon again for hosting us. Go check out his creator workshops in New York City. They do them once a month. Next month, they're going to have someone from Random House, which is really exciting. I'm actually going to make it a point to be there because it's a great guest. They've had other great guests as well. Check out DiversityCon in October, and check out Men of DARPA, and check out Sci-Fi's. All the cool comics that Ramon is creating. Couple things. One, thank you for spending your beginning to the holiday weekend with us. It's 4th of July, so we are very patriotic, and we want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. We also want to say that Secrets of the Sire is brought to you by all of our beloved patrons, Craig Caruso, Einar Peterson, Matt Beyer, Ashley Haikai, Omar Morales, Program Director Stephanie Dolce, and as always, our Uber fan, Christina Dolce. Brian Phillips, I think, is also back on board with us as well, too, so I want to thank him. And we want to thank all of our past and present and future backers. Go to patreon.com/Secrets of the Sire. Before we get into Spin the Racks, threw it out there. What are you looking forward to more, Stranger Things or Spider-Man? Alicia Davis says Stranger Things. She has her Eggos in the freezer waiting. Heidi Ward said easily Spider-Man, and I asked her why easily, because I don't care about Stranger Things. I watched the first season, but I have no real drive to watch more. Randy Hogan, still haven't seen season 2 of Stranger Things. I'll be seeing Spidey firster. Yes, firster. So we definitely have it. Hassan, did you actually say which one you're looking forward to more? I can't recall now in the conversation we previously just had.
Yeah, I said Stranger Things.
Okay, good. That's what I thought you did, but I wanted to make sure. I'm going to see Spider-Man. We are going to review Spider-Man next week, and in 2 weeks we'll review Stranger Things. But first, we do this every week. We go spinning the racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
Walking Dead bombshell. We mentioned it at the beginning of the show. Walking Dead Comics, source of multi-billion-dollar franchise, ends with surprise finales. This is from Hollywood Reporter. Wither the Walking Dead. While the future of the Walking Dead TV universe is not in doubt, a shock decision by Robert Kirkman, creator of the franchise, is raising questions about the original AMC show that started the zombie craze. Issue 193 of the Walking Dead comic series, released today, will be the final issue in a move calculated to surprise fans of the series. Creator Robert Kirkman and artist Charlie Adlard concluded the industry-changing comic book series with Wednesday's Walking Dead issue 193, an extra-size edition that plays out a sprawling epilogue to the Walking Dead universe. The series finale comes just shy of the landmark 200th issue. What's more, the ending has arrived without any advance warning, to the point that Kirkman and Skybound solicited several subsequent issues with cover art from Adlard. These covers and solicitations were created to preserve the secret behind the series finale, according to Kirkman himself. I hate knowing what's coming, Kirkman wrote in the concluding pages of the issue. As a fan, I hate it when I realize I'm in the third act of a movie and the story is winding down. I hate that I can count commercial breaks and know I'm nearing the end of a TV show. I hate that you can feel when you're getting to the end of a book or a graphic novel. Some of the best episodes of Game of Thrones are when they're structured in a way and paced to perfection so your brain can't tell if it's been watching for 15 minutes or 50 minutes. And when the end comes, you're stunned. He also went on to say the comic industry as a whole can be very complacent. The systems are in place. Everybody uses the same systems. Comics either live or die based on the generic press releases and interview structures. And it's all the same websites that cover comic book news. There's a very rudimentary system of going into a comic shop, finding a comic, and hearing about a comic online. I'm always trying to think of ways to shake that up, where you energize the industry to a certain extent and do things that make people take notice in a way that's not normal. Hassan, thoughts on the way he did it and the series coming to an end, which was actually a complaint from both of us that it was an ongoing series. So there was never a sense of finale. But in this particular case, the most shocking death in Walking Dead was its own. What are your thoughts?
No.
We have sound effects galore today. Man, amazing.
Look, I'm not a avid reader of the book.
Yeah.
So I can't comment on whether it's a good ending or a bad ending, in particular. Just as a rule, a gimmick ending is not high on my list of things to do. It's clever.
I absolutely love it.
But
I
don't know. But you asked me how I felt about it.
I know. Well, I'm responding to that. I absolutely love the fact that it came out of nowhere, because I do agree with him to an extent. I love anything that kind of thinks outside the box in terms of a way something can happen. If you knew Walking Dead was ending, there's definitely there's going to be.
But there's merit in knowing there's an ending coming and still landing a satisfying ending. As a story.
Right. I don't know what the story ending.
A gimmicky ending, and this is whatever you call it, however powerful it is. It's a gimmick ending.
Mm-hmm.
Because it forces a confrontation. It's like although I ironically don't mind that ending. It's like the Sopranos ending, where it's like it's fade to black, ending it like maybe 5 or 6 minutes before you figured it was going to end.
Oh, okay.
And it's a gimmick ending, but as you said, when we were talking about when you talked about Jeff Ament, there's precedence for the Sopranos to pull that kind of move because of the years of kind of of strange narrative tactics that they pulled on a regular basis. This is the sound of it on his face. It's like, oh, so your trick to kind of make a controversial ending was to end it before you told everyone you were going to end it.
Well,
okay.
as I kind of mentioned, and we want to be as spoiler-free as possible, there was a major event that happened in the previous issue, so much to the point where people were sitting there saying, boy, how is he going to continue? From a story perspective.
And from the story perspective, instead of showing everybody, well, this is how, he said, no, I can't. So
well, he didn't end it on that, though. He didn't. It's not like you read it. All of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened, and there's no more issues. The next issue,
one more issue. So it kind of proves that it didn't really. It couldn't. The story didn't have the legs. Yeah. I'm not condemning the story in and of itself.
Right.
I'm just saying, if the controversy was how are you going to pull out of this, and it turns you don't pull out of it.
Right.
That's how much of a shocker is that going to be?
Yeah.
So look, I might read it and go, wow, this is really good. This is really powerful. I'm saying on its face, without knowing anything about it, without having read it, without being a reader of the comic. If I was writing a story and my art director or my editor came to me and said, okay, I got an idea. Why don't we just end it next issue? I was like, well, I got at least 3 more months of story to tell. So, yeah, but you don't need it. This will catch more attention if we just drop it right now.
Yeah.
And just call it an end. Just end this epic series that you've been working on. That's groundbreaking. That's changed the landscape of comic books and television at the same time.
I got to be honest though.
Let's pull a lever on it? And I think if someone came to me with that, I'd be like, that's a gimmick. I think I can land this story on my own. I don't need these tricks. But that's only if you ask me what I think of the trick in and of itself. If I read the story and it works, and I'm like, wow, that's a really powerful ending. I won't mind. Yeah. I'm sure it would work, and I'm knowing that comic book and that team, it probably lands well. It's probably
knowing that story now has an ending actually has for the first time re-energized me to go and actually watch season 9. I got through 2 episodes of season 9. It's sitting on a DVR waiting to be watched, and I've just been like, well, whatever. I mean, it's just going to keep going and going and going and going at this point. So but now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, now I want to watch season 9. because then I want to pick up the books because I've been reading the books in succession with the show. And
yeah, it just makes me want to just jump to the end and see what the last 2 issues are like, and just go, all right, that's good. I think
I spoiled the second to last issue for me by reading this article, so I'm not going to do the same thing to our audience, of course. But
well, yeah, that's much appreciated. But I think if you jump to the end,
yeah,
I think if you went from wherever you are right now and jump to the end, you probably wouldn't be missing too much.
I don't know. Yeah, we don't know. The one question that remains from it, though, is what does it mean for the AMC show with a series of movies?
It should have stopped maybe 5 years ago.
Not 5, 2 years. So the franchise appears safe. In addition,
5.
The comic book series ended in a way this TV series can't replicate. Still, the surprise ending begs the question whether AMC's show could follow suit with some surprises of its own. I think that's the next logical thing that's going to happen. I think one day Walking Dead is literally going to have a series finale, and you're not going to know about it until you watch it, and it's going to be the end, and then they're going to announce a press release to be like, that was the end of the show. Yeah. I think it's going to. What a sense of urgency now to be part of that. If that's because look, actors are not going to keep going on forever. A show is not going to go on forever, and it's better to pull the plug. I think before better to burn out than fade away.
5 years ago, I agree. Yeah, it would have been better to pull the plug 5 years ago.
Yeah. But do it without the farewell tour. All right. Thank you again for being part of the 4th of July weekend before it started with us. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Secrets of the Sire. Next week is Spider-Man Far From Home, the summer movie we all needed, or is it just another piece of a larger puzzle? Join us for an in-depth review of this Marvel blockbuster, and in 2 weeks, we will have our Stranger Things 3 review. We've got awesome guests coming up. We got comiccon coming up in 2 weeks as well too, so we'll preview that when we do Stranger Things 3 review. We got Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, on the show in 3 weeks. Really exciting stuff. Really can't wait. Thank you guys, and we will see you all next week.
Secret.